Y'all ready to get started?
We're
Yes.
ready.
Ready.
We're ready. Let's go.
All right. Well, y'all have the floor. We're excited to have y'all. Jamie and her team, just for everybody that knows, they were actually the first team to beta test Easy Home Search. So it's been what, over a year now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
roughly just over a year. So if any team has information on, how everything's going, they definitely do. So we wanted to bring them on and not only share what they're doing with Easy Home Search, but also what they're doing with lead gen and everything else because how much did y'all grow last year over year?
260%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a good system to follow. So y'all have the floor, and they were actually the most prepared guest. I don't want to talk bad about any other guests, but they were definitely very, very prepared for this. So Travis and I are just going to sit back and listen.
Thank
So
you so
we
much.
have a major attention to detail issue, but it's our a
We,
positive for us too.
we were
Superpower.
literally role playing up until 2 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to provide some value to y'all.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Excited for y'all to take the floor.
All right, Jamie.
So
So
yeah,
we're
we're excited to show you guys. We just made a high level roadmap for you to show you today of some of the systems that we're using to convert Easy Home Search at a high level and then how our agents are plugging in to see success. So we're going to go over some of what we've implemented over the past year. And then we're going to take that down to Joanne, one of our agents on our team, who's going to pop in towards the end to talk about her success with Easy Home Search, our systems, and then the conversion that she's seeing, and then some case studies for you guys to see towards the end as well to show you this is a real people behind the leads and you can make a bunch of money and let's go. So,
Woohoo.
yeah. Okay. So Preston kind of introed me already, but we've been beta testing Easy Leads for about a year, so we have a lot of data. And I joke with Kesley, we've been feeling like mad scientists over the past year. We've just been looking at the data like forwards, backwards, sideways. What does the roadmap need to look like for our agents to plug in for calls, meaningful conversations to build a predictable business? So you'll see that coming up. We've painted the roadmap that works for us. And we just realized that simple truly solves the complex. When we were putting all this together, it took us a year to really feel like masters of this craft. So if we can save you a year of your life with what we've worked on implementing and realizing that it's actually not that challenging, you just have to put action and develop skill. We're excited to kind of show you what we put together.
And I am the 80% in the back end, helping our agents focus on their money-making activities. My name is Kesley Flo. I'm the operations specialist at Reset Real Estate, and my main focus is to build out systems and processes for our agents to follow so that they're able to focus on their money-making activities. I really dove deep into what Jamie does and what was successful for her and her business in her 16 years of real estate. And I just made that into a system that anybody can plug into and follow. I also assist with agent accountability and allow the agents to really see their goals at a lower level on a day-to-day basis so that they're able to follow what they need to do in order to hit their goals in a clear level.
So one of the first things we implemented is the money time pond, and shout out to Chris Snow. I don't know if he's on this Zoom, but he's the creator of the money time pond. And what's been so great about this, my superpower as an agent selling is time blocking, consistency, following up, and just putting in the work to convert. And this kind of simplifies that process for our agents. So this is all about time blocking, intentional lead generation, and intentional follow-up. And this is actually our Google Calendar that we push onto our agents' calendars every month. So we created this pond where Easy Home Search leads come in here from day 1 to day 10. And agents choose their shifts based on their daily life responsibilities. So it's not like you have to plug in from 8 to 11 every day. You work our money time shifts around your family and professional obligations. So our only requirements here is your speed to lead needs to be less than 5 minutes. And each shift, the agents are calling at a minimum through the money time pond 2 times, upwards of 3 times. So if you're getting through a full shift, you should be getting about 6 to 9 touches on these leads per day. And then after 10 days, if they happen to remain in the money time pond for up to 10 days, they're getting about 60 touches. But what's really important is each shift, every agent uses their own personal follow-up boss number. They don't leave voicemails. And you have to think of it like a layup. You're helping each other out. So leads are not thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm getting bombarded by reset. These agents keep calling me. They don't know because they don't have voicemails from us. They're getting multiple touch points and it's working because our leads are getting dispositioned from lead to actually into an agent's name to start working as a potential client about 50% of the time.
Okay, and this is the day in the life. This is something, shout out to Travis Halverson for presenting this to our team because it has been very impactful for all of our agents here at Reset. This is the day in the life. It's a worksheet that was created in order that, like, if you follow each of these 16 steps, you're doing more than the average agent, more than 50% of the agents in the industry. So you're going to be successful. And it's as easy as logging into your follow-up boss, clearing your inbox, clearing out your task list, and then going through the smart list that we've created for our agents. So when an agent has a meaningful conversation with one of our leads and they pull it into their name, one of those criteria items is to stage it for their timeline. So A leads are leads that are going to be transacting within 0 to 3 months. B leads are 3 to 6 months. C leads are 6 to 12 months, and D leads are 12 plus months. So down here, you can tell that we have created like a cadence of communication that we have expectations on our team for follow-up once the agent has claimed these leads. So if an A lead, or if you claim an A lead under your name, they should be contacted via email, phone call, or text message every 7 days. And if on the 8th day you haven't contacted them, then they'll populate on your smart list. So in essence, if you're clearing out your smart lists and going through each one and clearing them down to 0, then you're in compliance with our follow-up cadence that we have as our minimum standards here at Reset. Anything else you want to touch on this?
You covered it. You're good. So another thing that we implemented is the pulled opportunities pond, and this has been really exciting in the office. Just keeps things super competitive and fun. So the reason why we have the pulled opportunities pond is on the 1st and 15th of every month, we're sweeping A and B leads that are not Sphere, but A and B leads that have not been followed up properly under agents' names. So what we've found with this is that on the 2nd and the 16th of every month, our agents are more aggressive, jumping in our pulled opportunities ponds and knowing that these leads have expressed buying, selling, investing, or renting with us and trying to revive them into the agent's name. So this has actually been really great. We've had agents have a lot of success with this. And in addition, if let's say one of our agents goes into the pulled opportunities pond and that lead says, you know what, I really loved working with agent B. I would like to continue working with them, because our agent had revived it, they get paid a 10% ISA fee. So this has just been fun to keep the competitive momentum going and then give our agents an opportunity to make more money based on other agents dropping the balls based on our follow-up sequence.
Yeah. And this is also a great pond because these are leads that have already spoken to one of our agents, and the agents have pulled them under their name. So they've expressed interest in transacting. So our agents really love this pond to call out of.
The one thing too, a question came in real quick. Alex, he uses Call Trust. So Call Trust, what it'll do is it'll show the company name if you call it a follow-up boss. We don't recommend using that because the reason for the pond is every time an agent calls, they're calling from a different phone number. So like it doesn't show up Reset Real Estate, right? If it always showed up as Reset Real Estate for everybody that was calling from the pond, how pissed off are they going to get at Reset Real Estate or whoever it is, right? So the idea with the pond is every agent is calling from their own number. The number is showing up, but it's not tied to an actual company. So then, it is tied to the company, but they don't know any better, right? So the idea is like, hey, we had 12 agents call over the last 4 days. Every single agent that called is calling from a different phone number, so they're not tying it to one company, and they don't know any better. I mean, most people, if you think about it, they're signing up on 7 or 8 or 9 different websites. They don't really know what information they put in a lot of times. So, Alex, that's why we don't recommend the call trust feature.
Yeah, I think we
And
actually,
honestly, that was a hard habit for our agents to break because everyone felt like they knew Reset was calling. But then once we implemented Money Time and everyone started seeing the success with not leaving voicemails and not using a line like Call Trust to identify us, it helped with our conversion.
yeah, that's something that we actually asked Preston and Travis specifically if we should implement into our business or not. And we ultimately decided that it wasn't right for the follow-up that we have with our newer leads. And we created scripts around, agents say, talking back to the leads if they say like, why are you calling me so much? So we've definitely tried to get ahead of that. Jamie, you can take this away.
Right. So this has actually been really wonderful. This is the roadmap that we talked about where we were mad scientists the past year. We figured out, and just based on our experience with the lead flow and then the agents at our companies, this might be a different conversion for you guys based on the leads that you have in your system. But what was important for me was to reverse engineer the numbers, and I wanted to simplify the roadmap for our agents. So I wanted to build their goal setting worksheets based on what their daily, weekly, and monthly goals need to look like. And then we instilled on top of that weekly performance reviews that we send out to our agents now on a weekly basis. Because what I had seen over the past year where agents were declaring how many properties they'd like to sell or want to sell or what their survival number is going to be, but they weren't looking at those numbers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then all of a sudden we're 6 months into the year and you're so far behind on your goals. And it just makes it feel like an even larger mountain to climb to get to the numbers that you really declared that you wanted to hit for yourself. So we looked at these numbers and broke them down, and Kesley will chat through that, but we've identified the agents' gaps. And their gaps are what they declared they want to do versus their actual effort. And then we fill the gap, we close our gaps, and help them convert at a higher level.
Awesome. So we created this goal worksheet here on the left-hand side. This is a goal worksheet that you can use that you can refill out on like a monthly basis. But basically we either take the agent's declared volume goal, unit goal, or GCI goal. We can work the numbers either 3 ways, and we break them down into their daily activities. We've used conversion ratios to break everything down so that it doesn't look like this huge, massive number, and they know what they need to do on a day-to-day basis in order to succeed and to basically like accumulate success instead of, like Jamie said, look back in 6 months and be like, oh my gosh, I only closed 1 deal. And my goal was to close 12 at this point. So we found that was really instrumental in the agent's success on our team of having those numbers broken down to daily activities. And then we also implemented a weekly email that we send out to our agents. We also highlight this as an accumulative goal on our team meeting every week, just to make sure that all of our goals are in front of everybody pretty much all the time. If you have goals and you're not reflecting back on them, you're doing yourself a disservice. So basically what the right hand side of the screen looks like is it's your goals. Towards the bottom is your progress that you've got that you've had so far in the month. So the first week of the month, the numbers are going to look a little bit smaller, and then it's going to accumulate throughout the month. And then what's highlighted in pink is the gap in order to hit your monthly goals, so that you know what items you need to focus on and hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, and we're seeing for every 7 meaningful conversations, and that equates to about 145 meaningful conversations a month. That is bringing in about 2 at a minimum closings per month for an agent, upwards of 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we won't go too deep on this, but I just wanted to touch on this. When we've been looking at all of our agents' numbers, finding their gaps over the past year, we're finding where we need to train the agents, because we've realized it's truly just action or skill. So if an agent's struggling, we look at the action and we help them increase the action, which is the calls, meaningful conversations that yield towards converting leads. And if for some reason they're taking a lot of action and then they're not closing, it's obviously a skill-based problem. So this year we just started implementing our buyer agent mastery class, which is specific to Reset, and our systems and everything that we've done. And then our listing agent mastery class, where we just go super granular on where agents are having problems converting, and then we train them to get them to the next step. Awesome. We're about to introduce Joanne.
Now you're going to see what the real numbers look like that you need to hit to.
Yeah.
Yes, this is actually work.
For us to
This
cover
is first year agent.
Yeah.
359,000 points in 12 months.
2020
Without appointments.
Without that, we exclude appointments in our company, just because appointments can, our agents put in open houses or second showings, etc. So we exclude appointments. But last year in 2024 was Joanne's first full year in Reset or in real estate in general, and she actually joined Reset Real Estate, our company, in February of 2024, and then she started producing and had her first closing in April of 2024. So in that span of 8 months, from April to December, are those numbers, and then the span of February to December are the numbers that she had, that where she was like prospecting and gaining momentum. So what we really saw for Joanne that is different than the average agent is that she actually treats her real estate career as an actual job. She really dove into the money time system that we implemented, and she was averaging 5 shifts per week when she was building out her pipeline. She'll talk through that in the next slide as well. She averaged 8 meaningful conversations per day, which kind of backs our 7 meaningful conversations to get to 2 average closings per month. And she actually has a little bit better of a conversion ratio than we track. So she only needed to have 87 outbound calls instead of 100 to get to that 8 meaningful conversations. So it is really important for us to track these numbers, just so that we can have a little bit more granular of a conversion ratio for our agents specifically. But she did close 13 transactions from Easy Home Search leads, and that was just under 9 million within the 10 months that she was here at Reset Real Estate. I would actually say within the 8 months, because she did have her first closing in April. So far in 2025, she has 5 closed and pending deals from Easy Home Search, and is on pace to double or even triple her business. So we're so proud of you.
Yeah.
Welcome, Joanne, to the chat.
Thank you. Okay. So a little bit about me. I actually, as you heard, I've only had one full year in real estate. So previously, my career was in education. I was a teacher and an administrator for 15 years. And when it became clear that I wanted to make a transition out of the education field, I knew that I wanted to get into real estate. I've lived in 10 states in my life and bought and sold a lot of houses with those moves and just always loved real estate. The whole process of buying and selling homes was always intrigued by it. And so I knew I wanted to transition into real estate, but I didn't have the confidence that I could do it. So aligning with the team that I did, getting the easy home search leads was really critical. I think it was December. I don't know if Preston remembers this, but I actually sent him a message on Facebook telling him that in that 1 month, my commissions were going to be more than a full year's teacher salary. So
Yeah, that is definitely not a message you forget. It's the whole reason why I do what I do. So that thank you for that
It
message.
makes me teary-eyed. I'm so happy. That's
yes,
awesome.
I'm so grateful for Reset and for Easy Home Search.
So we thought it would be fun to ask you some questions, Joanne. Are you ready? Kesley and I put some questions together that we thought an agent or company owner would want to know based on your perspective. Can I fire away?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So how have the systems and follow-up processes helped you get into production quickly?
Okay, so after I onboarded with the team, I immediately had access to the ponds, like the Money Time Pond. So being able to have that time blocked on my calendar for prospecting was huge because you have to be making those dials into these leads to be getting the leads. So, and then once I was pulling leads, just the follow-up cadence that we had set up in Follow Up Boss with the smart lists, whether it's an A, B, C, or D lead, reminding you if you haven't reached out to them within the set amount of time that you need to do that follow up. All of that really helped me get into production quickly and start converting people.
That's awesome. And how would you say you follow up and nurture your leads once you pull them from the ponds?
So using that day in the life of the agent that you and Kesley were already talking about, I mean, that makes it so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already, if you just follow that, then it works, So when I'm pulling a lead from the pond, first of all, you got to start by making sure that you're staging them correctly, whether, they're going to be transacting within the next few months, they'd be an A and so forth, because that is going to populate them in your smart list correctly. So staging them correctly. I love to use the tasks feature in Follow Up Boss. So I might need to reach out to them more frequently than what the smart lists are even going to tell me to. There might be something that they told me is happening a couple of days from now that is going to determine something in their search criteria. So I'm going to be making a task to make sure they don't fall off my radar, to remind me to follow up with them and what specifically I'm following up with them about. So using those tasks and FUB. When you're having those conversations with the leads, making sure that you are not just all business and what's the criteria for their home search, but getting to know them some, what's going on in their lives, and taking notes in FUB about those conversations that you can refer back to. People don't want just like a robot agent. They want to know that you care about them and their specific situation and goals. So taking those notes and referring back to them when you're getting ready to speak to the lead, I think is really critical. And then, like I said, the smart lists in FUB really make it fool safe. If you just make sure that you're logging into FUB and you are checking your smart list, checking your tasks, and making sure you're clearing those out.
That's awesome. And what would you say has worked for you and doesn't work for you where you've needed to make adjustments?
So like you and Kesley said, when I first started, I was doing 5 money time shifts per week. Once I started pulling a lot of leads into my name and I had more follow-up, I ended up having to cut that back to 4 money time shifts per week. That's what I found, like with the amount of leads I currently have in my name, the 4 shifts per week works really well because I can make sure I have that prospecting time blocked on my calendar. And then I have a couple of days a week where I can focus on that follow-up to make sure I'm not falling behind on the follow-up. So that's kind of what's working for me right now.
Awesome. And then this is a big one that I think would be really helpful for agents, especially because I think we touched on this, but you've closed easy home search leads with no sphere, no center of influence, and you came from a different state last year. So you had an incredible year just with easy home search alone in our systems. But how do you stay motivated when you didn't have immediate deals and sphere business to help grow your pipeline?
Okay, so I mean, part of it is kind of like fear motivation. Like I came out of a career where I had a salary and I had health insurance, all of that. So coming into a field where there was no base pay, I was not going to be getting a salary check every 2 weeks. So that motivated me to know I have to work. I have to get into the ponds. I have to make the dials, because if I don't, I'm not going to have the business, especially like you said. I was new to Florida. Not only was I a brand new agent, but I was new to Florida. I had to do the work. And I didn't have anybody here that was a past client of mine. I didn't have a network of people that I have known for years that were like, oh, you're an agent now. I'm going to refer you to my cousin or what. I didn't have that. So I had to do the work by putting in the calls. So that was motivating, knowing I had bills to pay. So I had to do the work. And then also just learning from you and Kesley to dial into my numbers and see how many calls I had to make, how many dials I had to make to get the meaningful conversations, and trusting those numbers really helped. Once you know your numbers and you trust those, then that helps motivate you to, be consistent with making your calls. And then also just knowing that even if like today, I don't have any really super hot leads that I feel like I'm going to be getting under contract within the next few days, knowing that any one calling shift, money time calling shift, could change not only my day, not only my week, but possibly my month. So, maybe today's calling shift, I didn't feel like I had any, slam dunk conversations, but that doesn't mean that's not going to happen tomorrow. So I have to get back in there tomorrow. So.
I love that. What would you tell an agent who's trying to get into production quickly?
Well, I think probably the first thing that's the most critical is making sure you're aligning with the team that has the built-in structure, processes, and lead flow. I think because if you don't have that, then and you're trying to do all of that on your own, I think it would be extremely overwhelming. So I think that's the first thing. And then I think you just have to commit. You have to commit to your prospecting time. And if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like doing it, you have to do it anyhow. So making sure you commit to it.
I love it. And then what specific tools or systems have had the biggest impact on your success?
Okay, so going back to aligning with the right team, all of the systems and tools that you and Kesley were putting into place and already had in place when I joined the team, to know that I had support from you guys as a brand new agent. I could go to Kesley, I could go to you for advice, ask you, how would you say this? How would you handle that? That support is important. And you guys made it so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. You had everything in place for me. The easy home search leads, as a brand new agent, being new to the area, I needed those easy home search leads to make a real estate business. So just the whole system that we have in place with the money time shifts with those leads, and the smart systems to make sure you're following up with those leads, all of that has helped me be successful. And then also scheduling, making sure you're like creating a schedule to set yourself up for success. You have to, if you don't know your numbers, like Kesley shared my numbers on the first screen, if you don't know your numbers, how many dials you have to make to get those meaningful conversations to lead to the amount of closings you want to have, you need to sit down with your team leads. You need to get into your reporting stats and FUB, and you need to figure those out. So I think it's great that we have all that in FUB, and I have that support here in my my agency, because you have to time block for that, for the numbers that you need to hit.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question for you. This is a good one. What would you say to all the agents out there that says online leads or leads in general suck?
So I know online lead, you hear it a lot. People think online leads suck. I would just say I've only had 1 year in real estate. Almost every day now for the past month, I have had a team lead from another agency call me, or a lender that I don't currently work with call me, or a title company that I'm not working with call me. And they're calling me because they're seeing my stats online, my closing stats online. And I built all of that off of Easy Home Search leads and the processes that Jamie and Kesley put in place for me. So my success is coming from online leads. So, I mean, that would just be my answer to that. I think that people who say, okay, I'm going to give it a try, and they jump into like a shift and they make calls, that they don't have immediate success that first day, that they just give it up and they say the online leads suck. I think they just quit too soon. It takes consistency. So it doesn't matter if in one shift, one of the, with calling the online leads didn't generate a now lead. It doesn't matter. You just have to be consistent with it, because this is what I've built my business off of. I'm so happy that I've have had access to these Easy Home Search leads. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I probably would have had to get out of real estate within the first 6 months, because like I said, I have bills to pay. So if I didn't have these online leads to build my business on, I probably would be back at a regular 9 to 5 with a check every 2 weeks.
Jamie, something, do you have any more questions for Joanne?
No.
Okay. Something I want to share with y'all real quick. I'll have to share my screen. And anytime that I build something, we build something with Easy Home Search, it always comes from always listen to the concerns. Like anything I do is always to fix a problem that people have, right? That's, if you want to build a business to be successful, find a way to fix problems or issues people have. And this is something we wanted to do, and it's going to make, Joanne, it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make a lot of agents' life a lot easier. But we're going to, in the next week, we're going to be launching an embedded widget inside of Follow Up Boss. And I'll share my screen and actually show you what it does.
Sharing my screen, or can you kind of?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So here it is. It's actually going to sit in and this will only take a couple of minutes. It's actually going to sit in the upper right-hand corner of your Follow Up Bus account. If the user is not an Easy Home Search user, you could actually invite them, and they could be a user or be assigned to that agent. It could be assigned to that team. Once you invite that user, it's going to look like this. So it has, the reason for staging for us is we build better ads based on the staging, right? So if the agent changes this to say showing writing offers or under contract, guess what? We have a Google Click ID for every contact that we generate. We use that information based on that contact to send to Google and generate better leads. But this is what it's going to look like. What it's going to allow you to do as an agent, if the person does not, say you have somebody on the phone and they do not have a home value yet, so you could just get their address and type it into the widget. Let me get a one that's actually already showing. Yeah, I know we just updated some, there it is. So that's what it'll look like. As soon as you put in an address, it'll give you the home value. It'll show you a confidence score. The confidence score is based on how many transactions around that property. So it's 0 to 100, and 91 confidence score is going to be a good score. So we have enough information where we feel comfortable with the number that's being displayed. It shows the last time they viewed the home value. So if they go on the dashboard inside a home easy home search, you'll see the last time they viewed it. If there's a cash offer available, you'll be able to generate a cash offer. And then as soon as you click on that cash offer, it's going to take you to the cash offer where you could start downloading all the information if you're using it in a listing appointment or whatever.
I love that.
It'll show the frequently viewed. So you click on that. That's going to be the most recent property they viewed, how many times they viewed it. So to be frequently viewed, they got to view it at least 2 times. You click on that, it opens up the listing. Save searches. This one doesn't have a save search. You would click on it. The first thing you got to do is they got to approve you to change the save search. Once they do that, you'll be able to edit the save search from this window. This is all inside of Follow Up Boss. The e-alerts that we send out, we call them easy alerts. You'll be able to see how many we sent out, how many this contact is open, the open rate percentage. All of those e-alerts, if they reply to them, it actually goes to the assigned agent or the assigned team lead and you could update the reply email. So if you want to update the reply email, when they do reply to the alert, you just hit this, it automatically does it. It pulls it from this email address here. Add BCC to e-alerts. Like a lot of times, whatever it is, they're sending e-alerts. You don't really know what the consumer's receiving. Add BCC, it just adds your email to that e-alert. So that same e-alert they receive comes into your email and you'll be able to see it. Whenever you edit the saved searches, you'll be able to send them right away. You'll see the properties. You could choose to send them right away. You could choose to send them every day, every other day, twice a week, once a week, whatever it is. And the other cool thing, this is something that I talked with Travis about. A lot of times we're just trying to get a conversation started, right? So like we want to, throw a property in there, just, hey, did you see this property or whatever it is? So we automatically generate similar properties in this window and you could scroll through them. One of the properties is always going to be viewed more than one time. So this property is viewed 6 times. Say I want to copy it, send them an email. I drop it in the email there. And I say, hey, whatever. I don't want to say, hey, I saw you look at this property 6 times. Just say, hey, this is a property that kind of matches your search. I want you to, is it something you'd be interested in looking at? And it's as simple as that. Like as soon as you do that, you could throw it in this account's not connected to text, but you could throw it in the text there. And it's just as easy as copy and paste. So yeah, this will be launched in 7 days, and everything we're doing on Easy Home Search, all the emails, alerts we're sending out, all that information, home values. If they add multiple properties, you'll see the multiple properties in here. You'll see this home value. They receive email once a month with the updated home value. If it goes up or down, it'll be displayed here. That email they receive comes from you as the assigned agent as well. But yeah, this is something that we're excited to launch in the next week, and it'll make a lot of things that agents are doing inside of Follow Up Boss and inside their business a lot easier. That's it. Just want to share that real quick.
We're excited for that. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is really amazing. Going to be super beneficial to all the agents. Okay, let me go back to presentation mode.
We're just going to close this out with some borrowed belief. It works. Just pick up the phone, call the leads, and convert. And we have some case studies for Joanne to show you guys.
And one question real quick on the widget. Somebody asked, does it only work in Follow Up Boss? It does, but we're going to have an agent app in the App Store in the next 90 days where you can manage that lead, that contact, all the things I've shown just there and a lot more inside the actual app. So you won't even have to go. If you didn't want to go into Follow Up Boss, you'd be able to do everything I just showed you inside the actual agent app. The one thing you'll be able to do that's going to be different is just like if you're thinking about iMessage, you're going to be able to have a conversation with that consumer within the app, where it'll basically, if you think of the way iMessage is set up, where you can pin people and all that, you'll be able to do that in the app as well. But yeah, for now it's Follow Up Boss and then the agent app. Some CRMs just don't make it easy to build an API integration with them. So we're going to build our own.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing that, Preston. Okay, like Jamie said, we are going to share 4 case studies of closed easy home search leads. that have come into our database. And these are all leads that have been pulled out of the money time pond. So they were leads that came into our database from either 1 to 10 days old. You will see a trend with all 4 of these case studies that the speed to lead is under 5 minutes, and or next business day if they came in later in the evening where we don't have coverage. But basically the first case study, the speed to lead was 1 minute. So Joanne was on shift. The lead came into our system at 11:17 in the morning, and Joanne called and had a conversation with that lead at 11:18. The inquiry to under contract, so from when the agent or when the lead actually came into our database to the time that Joanne put them under contract was 3 months. The lead was actually on, I listened to the calls, so I listened to their first initial call, and it was just, was very awesome to listen to. It was very great, very good call. The client said that the timing was serendipitous because Joanne or the lead was actually like on the website looking at properties. So I know that some agents will have like this fear mindset that it's like, oh, it's weird that they're on the website and they're going to know that I'm calling them. And some people might, but a lot of people don't know what we know in the back end. On May 1st, so about a week after Joanne pulled the lead into her name after the first initial meaningful conversation, the lead specifically said, do not spend your energy on us because we are not going to be in a position to buy or to go under contract until late summer or in September. She ended up executing a contract by July 10th and closed on these buyers August 9th. So she still followed this lead would be considered an A since their timeline was right around that the 3-month mark. And so she was following up with them every 7 days. So don't listen to what the lead has to say when they say, don't spend your energy on us, because if she would have actually listened to that point and said, okay, I'm going to kind of put them on the back burner because obviously they don't want to be like annoyed by me or, whatever the thought process is for you specifically, then that might have been a missed opportunity that she would have missed out on income from. The second case study was the speed to lead was within 1 minute. We have automations and our ISA in the back end, also helping with conversion. So the lead had come into our system at 7:14 p.m., which is after hours technically. And then so our automated action plan texted him right away. And then our ISA reached out first thing the next morning with a phone call, and the lead actually requested to be called back later in the day after 4 o'clock. So the ISA set a callback appointment task in Follow Up Boss for Joanne, and Joanne called at 4:11. They had a meaningful conversation. They ended up successfully going under contract November 1st and then closing in December 9th. I forgot to put this point out there, but the inquiry to under contract was 2 months for this lead. The third case study that we wanted to show you is, so this lead was contacted next business day. There were 3 call attempts on day 1 where the lead hadn't responded. And then Joanne had ended up calling her again on September 26th to no answer. The lead ended up calling her back like maybe 15 minutes later, and they ended up having a 25-minute conversation. Joanne pulled the lead out of the pond, started showing her properties on October 17th. I believe this was an out-of-town buyer, so she flew into town to do the showings. I wanted to highlight this because like some leads, they only have to see 5 properties to find their perfect home. But this lead, I saw Joanne's appointments in Follow Up Boss, so I figured I'd give her a shout out for the hard work and persistence that she had with this lead to end up getting them closed. She went on 45 condo showings in total. They ended up going under contract on October 28th and then closing this deal December 10th. And then the last case study that we want to show you is a really exciting one. So the speed the lead was the next business day. The lead came into our system September 18th at 4:08 p.m. I'm assuming that nobody was on that evening 4 to 8 shift, but Joanne was on the next following money time shift in the morning. So she had called the lead at 9:15 a.m. The lead didn't answer, but calls were made every day until October 1st. So about, 10 days later, the lead had called her back and she had a meaningful conversation. So Joanne was able to pull the opportunity. She set a listing appointment for 2 days after that initial meaningful conversation. And then we actually ended up putting the listing on the market on October 29th. This was $1 million deal. Joanne worked very diligently and hosted open houses in a gated community every single weekend, and ultimately ended up finding an unrepped buyer who had come into the open house and submitted an offer with Joanne. So it was a double-ended deal, plus the sellers were also buying. So this was actually a triple-ended deal for Joanne. They ended up going under contract for their buy side December 4th, and that ended up closing January 9th. So
What was the total sales on all those?
On these, just this
Yeah.
case study, that was
Yeah.
close to 3 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Double ended the 950,000, and then they purchased a $815,000.
Oh, you mean leads are not only buying $200,000 houses?
Yes,
Yeah.
all of these case studies, easy home search leads. So that's what I have to say to people who say online leads suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should have put the price points for all of these leads.
No, I was just curious on that one, just that one group.
Yeah, the triple-ended deal was the listing side closed for 950, so it's 950 times 2, and then I think that they purchased for 815. So that would have totaled 950 plus 950.
So we're thankful for our partnership with Easy Home Search because it's bringing a lot of opportunities to us, and then it's causing us to really dial in on our process for conversion. And that was like one of the biggest things for me was like, we don't want our agents spinning their wheels and calling leads that aren't answering. I mean, you're going to have that, it's just a numbers game. But these are real people who want to buy, sell, invest in real estate. Just got to put the reps in. It's super simple, honestly.
So
Yeah,
sorry, Preston, you can go ahead.
yeah, and the one thing too, like, we focus on is one, the type of ads we're running. We're generating organic traffic, direct traffic. We generate over 40 to 50,000 visits a day now on the website. And really, it's the type of registration. Like there's ways you could, like, to go on Easy Home Search and register, you have to put in a valid email address, a valid phone number. And it also scores that lead whenever it goes into your system. So if somebody comes in and tries to put in 111 or whatever it is, it will not allow them to register. So those are the things we do on the front end, that we verify the email and verify the phone number. I could put in Jamie's phone number, right, and register, somebody else's phone number, but we actually make sure that the leads that we generate there's a valid phone number submitted in there. So, those are just little things that you could do to, yes, you might see less leads, but I'd rather send you 80% of leads with valid phone numbers and valid email addresses, because then there's ways, if there's a bad email, you could enrich the data based on the phone number or, based on an address and pull that other information in. That's it.
Yeah. So I wanted to, open it up to any questions that you guys might have. I know that we covered a lot today, but also I wanted to say that we did have a few items of value to give to everybody. I was going to pop them into the chat, but since I'm sharing my screen, I wasn't really able to do that. So maybe Travis, when you guys send out the recording of this, you can include those as attachments in that email. We were going to include the day in the life that we shared. the goal setting worksheet that we shared, if you want to utilize that as a tool for yourself and your business. And then we also wanted to share something that we didn't put in the slides, but has been super valuable for our leads. It's called the 14 plus nurture touch points for follow-up ideas for like when you pull a lead into your name, how do you follow up with them in a successful way? So we just wanted to give that to you guys as a thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, and anything that you want us to send out to, we'll send out the register, or we'll send out the recording to everybody that registered. So, Kesley, Jamie, if y'all want to send anything with that, we could add it in the email as well.
Yeah, I'll email it to you guys after we hop up off of this. But does anybody have any questions on anything that we covered today?
Somebody just asked a question. Do you verify leads against the do not call list?
Yeah, so we have Easy Verified in our database, and I guess Preston can touch more on that.
Yeah, so that's what, like Easy Verify, it constantly runs against your database. So to see any numbers that are either on the do not call list when they're added in, or when say there's a number in there that's not on the DNC list, and all of a sudden 20 days later they add their number to the DNC list because they're getting blown up by 40 different people, then that number will get flagged at that time. The other things too, it actually, with that account, you get 100 enrichment credit. So an enrichment credit would mean you could go and do it all inside of Follow Boss. Like you can enrich based on an address, or you can enrich the contact based on a phone number. Either of those work. The other thing we do, it does lead scoring when I talked about that. So it will score a contact based on if a number matches a name, it'll give them a grade of an A. And then it also gives you a phone scoring, which is 0 to 100. Typically, if it's in the 70 to 100 range, that means it's a mobile phone. So if you call that lead, you're probably going to get an answer or a response back on a text message. It checks against the litigator list as well. And it also validates the emails as they come in.
Yeah, so right next to the phone number in Follow Up Boss, it'll say like DNC.
Yeah, it'll say mobile DNC or landline DNC.
But from our understanding, it's a one-to-one, like they're signing up to be called. So we do still call those unless they specifically say do not call.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a one-to-one consent. I mean, even if, and that got thrown out with TCPA anyway, but as long as they're registering on your website, they're agreeing to that, and everything we send, like, because we're, exclusivity per county. So any lead that signs up in Broward County, Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade goes to Jamie's team. And it says that in the disclaimer on the website, like your information is going to be shared with Reset Real Estate, and you're allowing them to call, text, email you, call with AI, and anything else.
So yeah, Easy Home Search has us covered on that end. We love you for that.
Yep.
Okay, Drew.
Yes, I just want to clarify, Jamie, you had made a comment, I think, that you guys like to make several touches per shift. Is that correct?
Yes, per shift, it's at minimum 2, and in a perfect world 3, if they can get it in, just depending on how many leads we have in the money time shift at one time.
Do you mind me asking how many do you guys average in your money time pond?
Usually
We're probably averaging around like 250, right, Kesley? Give or take.
I was thinking like 125 usually.
Yeah, 250 on the high side, 125 on the low.
Joanne, you can.
Yeah,
maybe
so I think it's averaging around 100 to maybe a little over 100.
And that's with people like Jamie touched on, our disposition rate for leads coming into that pond is 35 to 50%. So that number is larger, but a lot of those leads will be dispositioned under agents' names. So the leads will stay in those ponds if they haven't answered the phone yet.
Yeah. And David, your question touches while they're in the money time pond is only calls. They don't text. So
yeah,
it's only phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah, our ISA texts in the back end. She texts, emails, and sets them up on like a very broad saved search. So she does all of that for our agents in the back end. So all our agents have to do in that specific pond is call, double tap. So they'll create a call list and go through it twice or 3 times ideally.
Yeah, so how much is the ISA going to love setting up saved searches inside of Follow Up Boss now?
She is
make her life so easy.
Fly here and hug you. It's going to be awesome. I'm so,
We cannot wait for next week.
yeah, seriously, we're so excited.
Any other questions? Well, thank y'all for joining, and Jamie,
Thank
Kesley,
you for having
Joanne,
us.
thank y'all for
Joining us.
hopping on for an hour.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I hope this was super valuable to everybody and that you got some takeaways that you can implement in your own business as either individual agents or team leaders. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jamie or myself at any time. We can dive deeper into any of these things for you. And then, like I said, we'll be sending out those 3 items of value within the email with the recording.
Yeah, and we'll say anybody that registered, anybody on here, we're going to send a recording out, so you'll be able to watch it anytime.
It'll be posted in our Facebook group as well. If you're not there, join our Facebook group, Easy Home Search. Thank you guys. You guys did a great
Thank
job.
you
Definitely
guys.
value added.
Yeah.
Have a great day.